Man, what a launch day it was for Battlefield 6 yesterday, right? Regardless of how things go in the future, I think that the launch, the anticipation, the hype, and the overall reception were probably better than expected when considering how launches of the past for Battlefield have gone. While there were a few hiccups here and there, absolutely, how EA and the Battlefield Studios teams responded are a positive sign and hopefully a beacon for the future upcoming. Today we're taking a look at the launch of Battlefield 6 and how for some players, maybe even you just got a rather incredible compensation package. Drop your thoughts, drop a like, do me a huge favor as well. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'd like to stay up to date with all things Battlefield 6 and even more FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community as we chase down that lofty goal of maybe 700,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Who knows? But with so many new friends checking out Battlefield 6, I'd love to have you along for the ride. And finally, do be sure to check out my friends over at AdvancedGG for 30% off your entire order with code Espresso30 from now until the 15th, but more on that in a little bit. So let's just start out with the launch. I think that we all anticipated something large. As a raw metric point, we can really only use Steam chart data as a reference and use that as a trend of what to expect with player counts, but across 4 main platforms, you gotta consider that at most, that Steam charts is 25% of what happened, if not way less, since PC is already fragmented across platforms of Steam and the EA app. While historically, there's been a huge market share for consoles, so we don't truly know where Steam lies on all of this, but I mean, the beta was crazy to begin with that one data point as is, with over 500,000 players playing during the open portion of the beta. Now, players at that point were impressed, absolutely, but again, with it happening during the free-to-play portion of the beta, a lot of players may have thought, okay, maybe this is the best it gets, maybe this is the most we see because that's where the free-to-play access comes into play. But it was something that Battlefield 6's launch proved that wrong. Within 2 hours of the game going live, Steam player counts were up to just shy of 750,000 players concurrently. 744,000 people all online at once on one singular platform, again, of 2 on the PC side, not even really at peak times during the day when that happened. I'd kind of wager that even grows this weekend now that it is the weekend. People's standard 9-to-5s around the world aren't working in those Monday to Friday work hours, potentially even growing further with reviews in the interest of people saying, hey, check out this game, maybe drawing in even more players. And even better for the most part, compared to especially recent launches, the most recent of Battlefield 2042, this was a surprisingly smooth launch, all things considered, with initial server queues there absolutely when things started, but those cleared up and once everything was warmed up on the servers, I personally didn't see another server queue the rest of the day. I didn't see much crashing, server instability, and perhaps that's a subjective bubble I'm living in, but the majority of the discussion surrounding the game at a top level perspective seemed like it was all pretty well done for a launch of Battlefield, except for, well, that one glaring issue of players who had purchased it on the EA app, because, well, they couldn't play. Like, not just, oh yeah, the servers are crashing, I couldn't get in the game, I restart it. They truly could not play for hours at a time after launch. Now, for a timeline of events, it went something like this. 1 hour after the launch, the Battlefield comms team talked about the installation of content bug that was persisting within the EA app, where they said they're aware of issues preventing players from accessing the game, with some receiving an error stating they needed to purchase DLC or similar. Obviously, they had bought the game. There's no other DLC other than the multiplayer and the campaign packs you could separately install, so players, of course, were naturally like, what's going on here? This is wrong. 3 hours after launch, the Battlefield comms team put out an update saying, we believe we have found a possible cause for this issue. We are in the process of validating a potential fix and will provide an update when we have it. So an update, but not necessarily an update that everybody wanted to hear. Whenever you can't play the game right after a game's launch, of course you want to see, we fixed the issue, you're good to go. This was basically just an announcement of an update. And then finally, 6 hours after launch, the Battlefield comms team said the team is in the process of deploying a resolution for the issue that causes players on the EA app to be unable to start the game modes due to missing DLC and content. Players will need to restart the game for this to take effect. We expect this to be completed within the hour or so, and we'll update when it's done. Now, it's not entirely to say that there weren't issues elsewhere as well, but the big prevailing one with the launch here was the EA app's inability to play, affecting a whole platform, which is a big problem. Core game functionality is the one thing you don't want to fail because it means you don't have a game at that point. So super frustrating for sure. I know that when I was streaming the game at launch yesterday, a lot of people were coming in voicing their concerns, their annoyance. I totally get that. People were absolutely amped up for this game. They wanted to play it and they paid for it. It's one thing if it's like a free-to-play launch and it's just a loss of time, but people essentially paid to sit around for those first few hours while also watching every major platform of Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, some of their favorite creators, maybe they're even real-life friends, playing the game that they could not take a part in. It's that SpongeBob meme of Squidward looking out the window, seeing Patrick and SpongeBob having a grand old time in the front yard. Now, Battlefield's solution, what came of this though, well, from EA and their history especially, I was actually kind of blown away. Before we get to that though, quick heads up, we've recently partnered with AdvancedGG, and I've been loving their products for a while now. To me, it's my cup of coffee in the morning, the afternoon pick-me-up, the fuel for any gaming or long content recording session. Right now, to celebrate the launch of our partnership and coincidentally, the launch of Battlefield 6, you can get 30% off your entire order for the next couple of days here with code ESPRESSO30. If you've never had their stuff, they've got some incredible flavors. I like strawberry lemonade and their rainbow sherbet. There's zero chalky residue, and they've got some really cool shakers, so I'd highly recommend checking them out if you'd like to fuel up for the launch here. And again, for a limited time, you can get 30% off your entire order with code ESPRESSO30 or the link in the description below. Anyways, EA and the Battlefield team's response. Last night, around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, about 9 hours after the game launched, and about 2 to 3 hours after this issue was resolved, the Battlefield team put out a statement saying, "Today we experienced an outage of the EA app that prevented some players who pre-ordered Battlefield 6 from accessing the game. And we know this can be frustrating, so we wanted to offer an apology with perks. The fix has been rolled out, but we aren't done. Anyone on the EA app who was impacted will receive 12 hardware and 12 career 60-minute boosters, which should be arriving in impacted players' in-game inbox this weekend. In addition, we will also be granting impacted players full access to the seasonal battle pass. If impacted players purchase the Phantom Edition, we'll be granting them access to Season 2's full battle pass. We want to apologize again for this outage, and we'll see you on the battlefield." So, honestly, that's a massive compensation package when you think about it. If you had 6 hours you were unable to play the game, you just got 12 hours of weapon and overall XP boosters to end up using, or 24 hours worth of boosters in total to use at any point in time for those 6 hours of lost playtime. Plus, you're future-proofed to end up getting a battle pass for free in the near future. Now, what they mean by talking about Season 2's Battle Pass is that if you bought the standard edition of the Battle Pass, that doesn't come along with the Battlefield Pro token. The Battlefield Pro token is basically a pre-order for the first season's Battle Pass in Battlefield 6, but if you had the standard edition, you don't get that. But with this rollout, if you're on the EA app, you will get that standard Battle Pass and access to all the tiers that come along with it for free with no additional purchase necessary. If you had the Phantom Edition, you of course did have that Battlefield Pro token. So the first season of content is already covered. You have access to the Premium Pass in Season 1, plus however many tiers that came along with it. But if you were on EA app and had the Phantom Edition, you still get a seasonal Battle Pass credit, but because you already have the first season, it applies to the second in that case. So frankly, I was a little surprised by this. I mean, the way that we've seen studios handle delays, outages, and stuff in the past in the AAA gaming space has not really ever been super player-centric. It's not really been for the player too much, but this is the way that I think studios should show appreciation and apologies. I mean, you just don't see that really. The fact that players couldn't play for a handful of hours, again, like 6 to 7, and then had double that time in individual rewards, over double if you put them all together and talk about 24 hours of boosters. I mean, for a lot of people in North America, and I know, yeah, it's not the case for everyone in the world, but with global rollouts because of one static time and not midnight, you might have even gotten these rewards when you actually could not have been able to play just yet. Like, you may have been at work on the West Coast whenever this launched, and you weren't able to get home until right after this outage was fixed. So in that case, it'd be a double win for you. You're not missing much and getting free extras, but I mean, hey, I'm pleasantly surprised with how they handle this, and hopefully this is something that going into the future, this is the sort of right path, the player sentiment that is taken into consideration, and how things are handled player first versus just an, oh well, deal with it type of mentality that we see that is ever present in gaming in general. Not just in one specific franchise or anything, but like that's kind of the sentiment with a lot of these massive games. So for those on the EA app, yeah, it may have been a rocky launch. It may not have been the best first day, but you got some stuff to help catch you back up in any potential XP and time lost in that comparison. Plus, you're future-proofed for the upcoming seasons on the horizon. So that said, what do you guys think of this? What do you think of the launch here? Did you like the first day and your experience here with it? Did you guys enjoy the way that EA and the Battlefield Studios teams reacted here based off this outage? Do you think they did right by the players on the EA app? Let me know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Battlefield 6 and plenty more FPS content upcoming. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Much has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.